White power scares people who are not white. Black power scares people who are not black. This is the only power that scares the establishment. Now what we're going to cover today is what's called the false equivalency. And the layperson's definition is a false equivalency is when a person takes two items and levies them against one another in a compare and contrast fashion, but it's not a one-for-one exchange. The deal with white power is in looking at this. You can see the Nazi salutes. Nazis believe themselves to be the master race, and everyone else is inferior. This is the alleged plot of the Holocaust, and why all the so-called chosen people were allegedly sent to gas chambers. When you come here to the Americas, the whole colonialism, imperialism game, wherein they enslaved and conquered multiple peoples through force, rape, murder, the whole nine, right? That was them being in the belief of the white man's burden, because again, their so-called superiority that's self-professed or based on nothing but pseudoscience means that they have the best way to live life and everyone else should be living their life the same way. However, black power actually erupted in the 60s in response to the so-called white supremacists who were still brutalizing the so-called Negroids through Jim Crow, wherein countless Caucasians will tell you that they fought a war to free the slaves, but then turned around and set 100 years worth of legislation and socially constructed systems of oppression. So black power was stating to unify, to build our communities and nation within the nation and support one another, as well as fighting against so-called white supremacy. So to level these two across, wherein white power is being chanted by people who actually do harm to the so-called Negroids and people of color, whereas in black power is nothing but a response, self-defense even, to so-called white power. So the thing that scares the establishment is educating the Caucasians to shift their frame from away from the lies that they've been fed by other Caucasians. This meme in itself being floated around by, for all intents and purposes, quote-unquote, good white people is a misnomer, and it's actually more damaging than anything else. Because the so-called good white people should be listening to what black folks are telling you about racism. And we know, a great deal of folks will say, well, y'all say everything's racist. Wherein the truth of the matter is this system that was set up, not by anybody alive today, but actually being propagated via them, i.e., again, sharing this meme, is irresponsible, as well as miseducating their own. So we hope the good white people see this, hear this, understand the new data that they've been presented with, and shift their frame in order to actually be a better white person than what they believe themselves to be. It's very similar to when you talk to these females who are telling you they're all dimes when they're actually not a 10, and they don't understand, like, the plus size models that not only didn't get access, but didn't get VIP treatment to the club in Los Angeles because they're actually not 10s. And women do the same false equivalency thing with cheating and sex drive, and we'll cover that on another time frame. But what we'd like to illustrate is that it is impossible to get people to have an actual exchange of thoughts when they can't even agree on a shared reality and what is actually a universal truth versus the cognitive dissonance-based truth they want to hold on to.
REX